For this video, we're going to cover some new Chapter 2 features and mechanics that you might not know about. We've tried to cover a fair amount of beginner's tips, as well as a lot of obscure tricks that even some pros might not be aware of. No matter how experienced you are, or how good you are at the game, at least a few tips from this list should be helpful for you. Without wasting any more time, let's get started. Tip number 1. Water negates fall damage. Epic Games spared no expense creating water features for Chapter 2, including details you wouldn't expect to find in a shooter game, such as currents, swimming, and fishing. One major upgrade to water that some players might not be making enough use of is the fact that it negates fall damage. As long as you land in a body of water you can swim in, and not on a shoreline or shallow area, you won't take any fall damage. This can prove useful if you want to cross a lake while simultaneously building upwards or just so happen to fall near a river. Number 2. Tap your jump button repeatedly while swimming to dive in and out of water. This gives you a speed boost and is a good way to rotate if you don't have any mobility. It's currently the fastest method of rotation besides gliding and boating, and it makes you look like a dolphin. It's also the only way to make progress when swimming against a current, which brings us to our next tip. Tip number 3. Pay close attention to which way a river's flowing before you try and swim in it. Though you can swim in any direction you want in a lake, swimming the wrong way in a river is extremely slow and won't get you anywhere fast. If you really have to swim against the current, you can make a little bit of progress, but even speed swimming in the wrong direction can be pretty slow. It's great exercise, but it's terrible mobility. Tip number 4. It is possible to drown. Most players might think that drowning is impossible in Fortnite since you can't dive for more than a couple seconds. However, if you get trapped under a player's floor while swimming in water, you begin to lose 1 health or shield per second. You have to be pretty low on health to actually die by drowning, but it's not a bad idea to be prepared in case you find yourself stuck under somebody's builds. Tip number 5. Fish in ripples to get better loot. Ripples appear randomly in large bodies of water across the map, such as rivers, oceans, and lakes. When you fish at a ripple, you won't get common loot drops like rusty cans or small fries. Instead, you have a chance of getting a flopper, a slurp fish, or a rare, epic, or legendary gun. However, don't expect to farm infinite loot from one ripple. They typically disappear after 1 to 4 catches. Tip number 6. Fish make great meds. Most players write off Chapter 2's new fishing mechanic as a fun side activity, but fish are actually viable sources of healing. Floppers give 50 health each, and you can stack up to 4 of them in one slot. It takes 1 second to eat a flopper, making them a great alternative to bandages and medkits. Slurp fish, the most rare form of fish in the game, are currently the best form of healing. They offer 50 health or shield points instantly, and you can stack up to 3 of them in one slot. A full stack of them is worth 150 HP, the same amount as a full stack of shield potions or minis is worth. Since slurp fish are flexible and faster to use, this makes them more worthwhile to hold in the long run. Tip number 7. If it's liquid, you can probably fish in it. Most Fortnite players are aware that you can fish in open bodies of water like rivers, but there are some much weirder fishing spots to be found around the map. One example is this vat of purple liquid in steamy stacks. It looks pretty unsanitary, but you can both swim and fish to your heart's content. Just keep in mind that the smaller a body of water is, the less likely you are to find a ripple in it. Also, if your entire diet consists of sardines you caught from a vat of purple radioactive goo, you'll probably grow an extra toe or something. Tip number 8. It is possible to kill a player with a rusty can. By far the most obscure item in Fortnite Chapter 2, you can get yourself a rusty can by fishing anywhere there isn't a ripple. Rusty cans are throwable items and have about the same range as a grenade. They're definitely not a practical weapon as they only deal 20 damage per hit, but they're a great troll item if you know another player is on low health. You can also pick up your rusty can after throwing it, as you should because recycling is cool. Tip number 9. Hide in open dumpsters or hay bales to surprise your enemies. From alleyways to random hilltops, open dumpsters can be found all over the map. To enter one, just swallow your pride, accept that you and your KD are garbage, and press your interact key. Whether you're low on health, want to surprise an enemy, or just want to go AFK for a minute or two, dumpsters can make great hiding spots. Just like dumpsters, the dome-shaped hay bales in Frenzy Farm make great hiding spots. The process of hiding in one is exactly the same, minus that bit about the garbage KD. And they're less obvious hiding spots than dumpsters, since there are various types of hay bales littered throughout Frenzy Farm. Tip number 10. More than one player can hide in a dumpster or a hay bale. If you and your entire squad needs a hiding spot, do not worry. There's always more room for trash. Just don't get too comfortable, because enemy players can also hide in the same dumpster as you. Also, keep your eyes out for jiggling dumpsters or noisy hay bales. If you hear noises coming from a hideout or see one shaking, that means at least one person is hiding inside of it. Tip number 11. You can break dumpsters and hay bales. Both dumpsters and hay bales can be broken in 2 hits. Players exiting a trash can or hay bale have a short delay on shooting their guns, which means you can get the first shot on them. If you want to make sure there's nobody watching you from a nearby trash can, or want to pull a reverse ambush, this is a great trick to keep in your back pocket. Tip number 12. Dumpsters, hay bales, and umbrellas negate fall damage. If you jump into a dumpster or a hay bale from above, it'll automatically make you hide inside of it. This effectively negates any damage you might have taken had you jumped from the same height and landed on the ground. Umbrellas are now bouncy, like tires, and negate fall damage as well. Tip number 13. If you shoot at the ground with a bandage bazooka, it drops a bandage. The bandage bazooka was the only completely new gun to be added for Chapter 2. Instead of damaging enemies, it heals whoever you point the gun at. Due to its long cooldown time and hefty 2 inventory slot requirement, some players might rather carry bandages. If you aim a bandage bazooka at the ground away from any players, it drops 1 bandage per shot, effectively making the bandage bazooka an infinite source of bandages. Tip number 14. You can carry knocked out teammates and enemies. If you want to pick up a knocked out player, just look at them and press the carry button. You'll sling them over your back, and though your ability to run will be disabled, you can walk as far as you want until they bleed out. You even have the ability to yeet the player you're carrying. Yes, yeeting is now an official Fortnite mechanic. Tip number 15. A new setting has been added that makes editing your builds much easier. Under game settings, there's a new option that you can toggle called confirm edit on release, which is off by default. Normally, when you edit a build, you have to press your edit key, select the boxes you want to remove or add to your edit, then press your edit key again to confirm the edit. Playing with confirm edit on release on will make it so that you don't have to press your edit key again to confirm the edit. As soon as you let go of the boxes you want to edit, your edit key will instantly be confirmed. Though this may seem like a small change, it makes a huge difference when trying to edit quickly, and should definitely be turned on if you want to reach your editing potential in Fortnite. Tip number 16. You can carry knocked out teammates while riding on the back of a motorboat. If you're in a pinch but don't have the time to revive your teammate where you are, try carrying your teammate while riding a motorboat. Though you can't drive a motorboat while carrying a teammate, you can ride it as a passenger. If you can get another teammate to drive the boat, your entire squad has a safe method of transportation out of whatever dangerous situation you might find yourself in. Tip number 17. Place ramps in front of your squad's boat when the driver boosts to travel twice as far. This trick will make you the fastest squad on the island. Sit on the passenger seat, select your ramps, and aim towards the front of the boat. Wait for your teammate to boost, then spam build ramps directly in front of your boat until you lift off. Your boat will travel up a ramp or two, then launch forward at high speed. The boat becomes a little harder to control when doing this trick, but the speed boost is definitely worth it. Tip number 18. Hold right click to have more freedom while aiming your boat's missile. Right click activates your boat's targeting camera by default, which allows you to look around more without the boat changing its direction. Though the boat still follows your cursor, it's not quite as sensitive as it is without the targeting camera disabled. This will allow you to be more accurate with your boat's missiles, while still traveling in the intended direction.